Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. I am coming back on tonight because I wanted to cover the story on Thandie Newton. The actress Thandie Newton is just in her feelings and she's like, yo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, black women, darker skinned black women. I didn't mean take your men, your roles. Listen, my mama dark skin and y'all have come for me here in America and I don't appreciate it, but I'm here to apologize because I understand. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, but we're going to get into it. Welcome again. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. We are the Starlights over here, and we get into it. We get into it. All things Hollywood, all things YouTube drama, beef, Hollywood drama, beef, the wins, the losses. We get into it here. So I want to get into it. I want to get into this situation with Thandie Newton. Um, I will be honest, when I first saw the video clip of, her being in her feelings and apologizing, things like that, my first instinct was like, oh, don't cry. It was just like, I was feeling her pain. She had real like tears and stuff. But anyway, before we go down that rabbit hole, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live because we real random over here, but you don't want to miss the party because we have a good time over here. So let's get into it. Thandie Newton. Who is Thandie Newton? Thandie Newton is an actress. I think she's a British actress. So she has a little accent. Let's see, where's Thandie from? Let's see what's this come from. It's her roots because she got a little accent. So she's an English actress. She's a 49-year-old English actress. So we're gonna get into it and let's do what we do over here. So let me share my screen and we're gonna go all the way over to the Daily Mail. Y'all know the Daily Mail gonna hit you with all the tea. So this article reads, first of all, I didn't even know that's how she spelled her name until when I started typing it in. I'm like, oh, there's a W in there, but that's neither here or there. Thandie Newton comes under fire for cringy and patronizing interview where she tearfully apologized to darker skinned actresses for taking their roles. Yeah. So my first thought, I will say, when I, saw a clip of her, I think it just letting her little, her feelings out and crying. I thought like, okay, why is she coming out now? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? But I just try to focus on the message, but not to put too much weight in that. But it was a thought that kind of came to mind, like, okay, Thandie, I haven't seen you in any movies or anything in a minute. I do like her. I think she's a good actress, but I was just a little confused as far as where all this came from because it wasn't like I was hearing her name in the streets and the YouTube streets on the internet just being drugged. Like I wasn't hearing none of that. So I'm like, okay, for someone who's kind of been like off the radar to me, at least for a minute, to come back on the radar with this type of video, I was a little confused, but let's go ahead and get into see, what Thandie had to say. So it says Thandie Newton, 48, burst into tears on Sky News as she apologized for being chosen for roles over dark-skinned actresses. The actress said it's been very painful to have women look like my mom, feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them. I didn't mean to. She also the English and Zimbabwean star came under fire for her patronizing remarks on colorism, with viewers asking why she felt the need to comment. So, article goes on to say Thandie Newton has come under fire for making cringy and patronizing remarks on colorism after she burst into tears discussing the lack of roles for darker skinned actresses in Hollywood. The BAFTA winning actress, 48, broke down in an interview with Sky News while promoting her new movie, God's Country, which she tells a story of a grieving Black professor who confronts two white hunters on her property. Okay, so let's stop there. So remember, I said I just seen a video of her crying, didn't have no context or anything as to what brought us here. So this does make sense, Okay, y'all know how sometimes celebrities, people, when they got a project, music, anything coming out, you start, they start talking and, drumming up that interest to pay attention to whatever projects that they got coming out. So reading this is kind of making sense now as to why she came out, I guess, speaking on what she did, because I guess the movie she did was pertaining to like racism. But I will say, even before seeing any clips or anything from, of the movie, they're saying the storyline is about a grieving Black professor who confronts two white hunters on her property. I'm just gonna go on the limb and just say that if you're gonna do a movie pertaining to like racism and the plight of let's just say a Black woman in a situation, I'm gonna say that it makes more sense for it to be a non-racially ambiguous woman, like someone who has more melanin in their skin than she does, someone who's not questionably Black. Let's be honest, when we look at Thandy, you do kind of tilt your head and wonder what she's mixed with, because you don't just look at her and just see a straight Black woman. Like she got the Meghan Markle effect. Like you're like, okay, I can see Black, but sis, we got something else going on in here. We got a lot of something else, at least half of something else, like a whole nother parent that just ain't Black. And so to cast someone who looks questionably Black for a movie that's going off of what I'm reading thus far, is something about racism, that does seem kind of off. That does seem kind of off. So I don't know if she's like, well, yo, let me just throw this out there, because people probably gonna side-eye it when the trailers and the advert promotion starts, coming out about it. They're gonna be like, okay, they couldn't get somebody who looked like Viola Davis or Angela Bassett, Gabrielle Union, somebody who's of a, darker skin complexion to play this role, a role that is about racism. But again, I'm just assuming it's pertaining to like racism, because this article says the stories of a grieving Black professor who confronts two white hunters on her property. So the fact that you got to throw in she's a Black professor and there's two white hunters, like without even watching a trailer, it gives me the vibes that it's a movie pertaining to racism. And just, yeah, period. Like racism. That's all I got for you right now. So let's carry on. God's Country is based on an author James Lee Burke's short story, Winter Light, but has been revamped as the lead character in the book is an older white man rather than a Black woman. During the chat, she admitted that she considered not taking the role as she didn't believe she was dark-skinned enough, before going on to apologize to Black actresses that I'm the one chosen. So the fact that the person chose to cast a Black woman with fair skin like Thandiwe Newton, it lets me know that for me, it wasn't about trying to really hone in on racism and the struggles of a Black American, a Black woman, because she's questionably Black. Like, like really? To me, I just feel like it's just a situation where she was selected because she is light, and it's like, okay, we get the quote unquote light skinned beautiful woman and she's black. So we're winning all the way around. And they were looking at it from that angle, from more of the marketing of more people being interested, it grabbing the attention of more people from all walks of life. VTX 89, you asked, should biracial women stop acting? I don't think so at all. I don't think they should stop acting. I just think that just with anyone, whether someone's biracial or they're not, the role has to make sense. And to me, if you have to stop and question if it's going to make sense to the viewers, then that's a whole problem right there. Remember when that what was there was another actress, what Rosario Dawson, she had a there was a role that she went up for and she played, and she I think she even went as far as to make her skin darker or paint her skin darker to make it fit. Like, my thing is, if you got to do all of that, then Houston, we have a problem. The role doesn't make sense. I don't think that every role that's presented to actors and actresses they have to accept. It has to make sense. And and it's not always, necessarily about necessarily the hue of someone's skin, but to me, in just from the description of this role, it just doesn't make sense to me for Thandi to play that role because it's going to take away from the storyline. It's a distraction. For the fact that she felt the need to go on this campaign to apologize for being fair skinned and selected for movie roles over darker complected women, that to me, that's taken away from the actual movie and the message behind it. So as an entertainer and actress, like, why would you want to do something where you know that it's going to just diminish, like, the whole meaning behind the whole thing? It's a distraction, period. Like, to me, Thandi playing this role is just a distraction. VTSA 9 said, are dark-skinned women angry at dark-skinned actresses for playing roles that make dark-skinned women look bad? I haven't heard anything like that. I'm not going to say they are. It's not a conversation that I've been a part of or I've heard, but I don't really even put that really in the same argument. I just think that let's just talk about this from an angle of a lot of American actors and actresses I've heard voice their opinion. They don't like that foreign actors and actresses play American roles because they're like, why do you feel like you need to overlook American actors and actresses to get someone from another country? Like, what was that? Was that with the Martin Luther King movie? There was the gentleman who played Martin Luther King. I think he was from he was from Africa. Like, um, I think it was the woman who played, what was that, Harriet Tubman? She was from another country. So people are like, okay, why are we having to go to cast people from other countries to play iconic uh, people from our history when we have talented actors and actresses that can do the job, like, make it make sense? Or how often is it that we're seeing, like, American actors and actresses play the role of icons from other countries, like um a Nelson Mandela? Do we have an American actor who's ever been cast for Nelson Mandela? Like, that part. So that's just the thing. What did they say? That whole saying, look within first, before you start kind of exploring out. And, you have just a lot of Americans who just feel like people from other countries are getting roles over them and they don't appreciate it. Because, like I said, are we seeing that in large numbers in other countries? I haven't heard discussions that that's taking place, but it has been a heavy discussion where that's taking place here with our American movies. VTX, you said who's in charge of those decisions? Um, well, more often than not, it's somebody who's of a Caucasian descent. It's not Black people. Black people in the large numbers aren't high up like that when it comes to the movie directing roles. You got some, but they're not in large numbers. Here, I don't know where you are, if you're in the US or in another country, but here in the US, the lighter you are, the more opportunities you tend to have. So when I say that, for example, it's very noticeable when it comes to like commercials, when it comes to the main leading ladies in say music videos. Like that's something that is just it's a discussion oftentimes, people have, but it's a thing that it is what it is. It's like here the mindset has been like light is right. Like the closer you are to being white, the better, the more opportunity. That's why you hear a lot about bleaching, skin bleaching. You have even with celebrities, it's always a conversation of, hey, did this person bleach their skin? They're looking lighter these days. It was like a whole think piece with people was thinking that Megan Good, the actress, bleached her skin because she went through this phase where she looked super, super light, and people were like, okay, is she bleaching her skin? Like, what's up? Like, it was like a serious, conversation that people were having because here it's just like the lighter you are, the more opportunities you get. And even just, on a lower level outside of like just being a celebrity with just the youth, with the boys, the young boys, like they boost lighter complexion girls. It is what it is, whether you like it or not, whether it's right or wrong. That's not the conversation. The conversation is this real? Is this a thing? And it is. VTX 89, you said, why do they want to see foreigners and biracial women? I think here also another mindset that many people that I've heard like in the US have is that Black people, a lot of Black people feel like we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to any ethnic group. And Black people here in America, African people, make it clear that they're from Africa, they're different. So it's a very it's a difference between Black American, which you may hear over here, they'll call ADOS, and then you have Africans. They're just two different groups of people with how we move here in the US. It's not like, okay, we're all Black. On paper, yes, we're all Black, but the way we are within the country and the communities, it's separate. Like you see a lot of times the African, people who are from Africa, they kind of stay within their communities, like around one another. And then, the people who are ADOS, people who don't have a close lineage to Africa, they kind of stay with their group. So they don't really intertwine much. I do have, a couple of friends who are African, things like that, but it's not the norm where you're seeing them just mixing and mingling like that. It's just not. And I just think still just in our country is just part of the whole thing with Black Americans just not having the same level of treatment like other cultural groups. And even when it comes to Blacks, I feel that Africans are elevated higher than Black Americans. A lot of Africans I've heard where they'll say Africans don't even like Black Americans. I've heard people say that they've heard like Africans, I have a good friend and she's African. She's married to an American, a Black man from America, and her dad did not approve of their relationship because his mindset is Black Americans are lazy. So it's like I've heard that on more than one occasions. They just don't, we're not viewed as being the same amongst just the different cultures where it's different. VTX 89, you said white people can't relate to dark skinned people. I don't think it's necessarily that white people can't relate to dark skinned people. I think it just makes them feel, I think a white person feels more comfortable when they're dealing with someone of a fair skin. I think the darker the complexion of the person, that person can come off as being more intimidating, um, more threatening. Even here in America, you ever hear of that whole angry black woman? You don't typically hear that being thrown on someone who's of a fair skin. It's typically someone who's a darker complexion person where they can be considered the angry black woman. It's just the when you're a dark person, it's automatically the one's defenses go up. It's just versus if you're more fair skinned, people tend to feel more comfortable with you. Like I really feel like that's a real thing, that darker skinned people tends to come off as, not that they're doing anything different, but just the mindset of how some people's thinking. If someone is dark complexion, they're more intimidating. Because think about it, just in general, when you think of good and evil, black, that is a symbol of evil, right? Good is the light. So just the darkness, just going just off of that mindset. Or when you get married, you're wearing white. When you're going to a funeral, you're wearing black. You see? And I think people could take that whole thought process and apply it to even with skin tone, even if they're not even intentionally doing it. Because I think it's just also can be a subconscious thing. People are just more comfortable. White people, let's just say, or non-black people are just more comfortable with someone who's of a lighter complexion. BTX 89, you said they use biracial people so white people can feel comfortable. Yes, I agree. I feel like Thandiwe was cast because it's like, okay, she's light, so this is going to make white people feel more comfortable with watching this movie, but though she's still got black in her, so then it's going to also um warrant for her to be able to play this role. But they didn't look at it from the angle of the black people when we watch it, our thoughts. Because I think if a white person or anybody non-black watched the movie with Thandi playing a role, I don't think they would really collectively think about it in a way that someone, say, of my skin complexion or darker would look at it. Because someone in my skin complexion be like, okay, her challenges as a black woman is nowhere near like mine's. Like me as a black woman, if you see what I look like, my pictures there, it's no question about me being a black woman. Like I said, when you see Thandi, you're gonna definitely tilt your head to the right or left because you're wondering, okay, the question is, what is she mixed with? That's going to be the question. You're not getting that question really when you're looking at me. You're going to see a black woman. You might start looking at certain features and wonder, okay, what else, what other things, I may potentially have in me if you're trying to drill down, looking at my bone structure, things of that nature. But looking at my complexion, you're seeing a straight black woman. Thandi, you like, okay, sis, what are you mixed with? You said you're black and white. You said you black and Hispanic, black and Asian. What are you mixed with? Because I know it's black and something else. It's going to definitely be an and. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. So you said BTX 89 says, so that's why they use biracial people. Yeah, for comfort. Comfort, yeah. I it's a thing. It's real. And that comfort, whether it's, now I will say I think that in America, um a darker complexion black man is more intimidating than a darker complexion black woman. I will say that. But at the end of the day, the darker complexion person is going to be viewed as more intimidating. That the white person, the non-black person, is going to uh, be more comfortable with the lighter person. I've heard people talk about going on job interviews and them knowing for a fact that they were more qualified. Like it'll be like, I think it was a darker complexion woman, and she knew that she was more qualified than the lighter complexion candidate. Because I want to say she said it was more like, here they'll sometimes have interviews and it'll be like multiple people that's within the interview. And this woman knew that like their credentials matched up. Actually, I think she said she even had more experience, more credentials, but they went with the lighter complexion person, the person who's was considered to be more attractive, because here in America, a lighter skinned person is deemed to, for the most part, to be the more attractive person, even though it's not clearly always the case, but light is right. Light is right. It's not a lot of people arguing that. The conversation is more so about how do you feel about that versus if that's been a true statement. BTS, you said, let me see. You said it's white people's problem, not biracial or black people problem. I agree with that. My thing is, I don't feel like Thandie needed to come out and be apologizing for anything. I think, to me, I think that she did it because she knew she had accepted a role, and she knew when she accepted the role that it was going to be side-eyed, but she did it for the money, of course, like anybody. You work, she's an actress, and she's like, okay, I'm just going to have to accept the backlash later. Kind of like Rosario, because Rosario Dawson, if you're familiar with her, she had later came back saying that she regretted taking on that role because it really wasn't the right role for her. It didn't make sense. But people, when you see the money presented into you, like, yo, I'm about to make this role work. What color you say you want me to be? You want me to be an Asian? Okay, we finna make this work. And I think Thandie started feeling kind of almost like guilty or trying to get in character to get people to sympathize with her before this movie hit, because I don't know if it's kind of already out yet. So therefore, people will have some grace on her because she did come out apologizing. So I just think it was just like a CYA type situation where she wanted to just jump in front of it because she knew people was going to be coming for her. So it's like, okay, let me jump in front of this. Put these tears on, because here's another thing. I'm gonna share my screen again, but Thandie is married to a whole white man for 20 years. For 20 years, her husband, he's white. So when she talks about, let me see, did I get to that part in the article? Let me carry on with this article, because I listened to, I don't want to play, I'm gonna share the link. I don't want to play the video because I don't want any copyright strikes, but she also talks about just with the men and men choosing her. It says Thandie Newton, who is a mixed race with English and Zimbabwean heritage, says my internalized prejudice was stopping me from feeling like I could play this role when it's precisely that prejudice that I've received. Doesn't matter that it's from African-American women more than anyone else. Doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression and prejudice feels this character. Beginning to well up, she added that she wanted to apologize every day to darker skinned actresses, to say, I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you. My mom looks like you. It's been very painful to have women look like my mom, feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth. I didn't mean to. Following the interview, perplexed viewers took to Twitter in their droves as they questioned why Thandie felt the need to apologize, dubbing it awkward and cringe. Again, I stand by, she did it because she knew this movie's going to be coming out. People going to feel a certain type of way, so let me jump in front of it. So, as I said, Thandie got a whole white husband for 20 years. So when she says taking their men, okay, you've been with this one man supposedly for 20 years. So that was over 20 years ago. If you did date a black man, that you dated a black man. Thandie is in her 40s. So what, you were in your 20s? So you're apologizing from back when you were in your 20s, dating black men. So I just think, she's an actress. She had to kind of get into character to prepare for the backlash that she's expecting to come. But like I said, she's seen that money and she was like, yo, I'm about to do this movie and apologize later. And that's what we're dealing with right now. BTX89, you say when they make movies, they want the audience to imagine they in the movie, and white people can't imagine being black. I don't. I think it still has to make sense. So I don't think that's the case necessarily. Like there's multiple reasons, thoughts that go into making a movie. When you're making a movie about racism, I don't. Yes, the person can think about being oppressed. I mean, the Jewish people with the Holocaust and all that, they were white people and oppressed or whatever. So someone who's black watching a movie about, the Holocaust, like we can imagine being in that situation because, our ancestors went through the whole plight of like slavery. So it does come down to common sense and discernment. So like I said, I think when a white person see the movie, they're going to look at it from the angle of, oh, wow, she's been oppressed or, profiled or whatever. They're going to look at it from a different point of view than someone black. I think someone black is just going to be distracted by the fact that they cast someone who almost looked white for the role of a black woman. Like, why you just didn't go get a black woman that's not questionably, black? There's plenty of roles. Thandiwe has played in many of roles. They want roles centered around race. If you're going to do a role centered around race, it has to make sense, right? It has to make sense. So to me, this role didn't make sense for Thandiwe. But I think she's a great actress. She can continue to do movies, but again, you can't just say yes to everything. Like, I'm a whole black woman that's brown skin. I can't go saying yes to playing the role of an Asian woman. Like, it got to make sense, it got to make sense. And it didn't make sense. And people feel like really people didn't even get a chance for them to say it don't make sense because Thandiwe, to me, it looks like she jumped in front of it before people really started putting their opinions out there because she kind of felt like, okay, I know they're going to feel a certain type of way with me playing this role. So this article goes on to say fans pin thing is we know about racism and colorism in TV and Hollywood. We know why light-skinned mixed women get cast more. No one actually blamed Thandiwe Newton personally, nor expected her to take responsibility. So my question is, why cry like it was so unnecessary? Like it was so unnecessary and achieved nothing. Exactly. Still cringing at Thandiwe Newton's meltdown over being the chosen light-skinned one. Thandiwe Newton's heart was in the right place, but her delivery and the way she worded her comments came off as colorist and patronizing. Very, very awkward. Thandiwe Newton, I'm perplexed by this performative apology to darker skinned actresses. What do you really mean? I am sorry. I am the one chosen. It is painful to have women darker skin feel like I am taking their men. What in the name of colorism is that? Thandiwe Newton, who asked for this, you're setting back Black women further back with this nonsense. That Thandiwe Newton video is so embarrassing. Like, why would she do that? The funniest thing about the Thandiwe Newton video is it's coming out of nowhere. My thoughts exactly. Thandiwe Newton really out there telling dark-skinned Black women, I am sorry, I am light and you're not. Have I heard right? Listen, fans were also confused at Thandiwe's apology for taking Black men as she has been married to white director Old Parker for 26 years. Like, come, they tweeted Thandiwe Newton saying taking their men when she been married to a white man since 1998 is sending me. What's the context of that Thandiwe Newton video, please? Because what the hell was that? Taking whose men? Isn't she married to a white man? Who are these supposed dark-skinned Black women telling Thandiwe Newton that she's taking our men when her husband ain't even Black? So someone posted every villain is light-skinned. Like people I think, yeah, she just made it worse. Again, I think She wanted to get in front of people, have an opinion about the movie that was going to be coming out. Let's see. I'm going to see if this movie is out yet because I didn't know there was like a new role. Let me see. What's the name of this movie? God's Country. So let me see. Let me see. God's Country. Mm-mm. Let me copy this. I want to see when did this movie release because it's just giving me the vibe that she was just trying to get in front of the people, the story, or with people going in on her about playing this role. Like that's all I can think of. God's Country. Release date, January 23rd, 2022. So it just came out. Thandi's getting in front of it. Why she didn't get in front of? Why didn't she say all this early on when she accepted the role? She's saying all this after the fact. She's saying all this. Let me see. Let me try to share my screen with God's Country. So let me see. So it's saying when a grieving college professor confronts two hunters she catches trespassing on her property, she's drawn into an escalating battle of wills with catastrophic consequences. I mean, it sounds like it's a, it'll be a good movie, but I think that it would have hit harder if it was someone who was of a darker complexion. That's all I'm saying. Like, but we'll see how the, how the movie performs because, it's out. What they say, it came out on the 23rd. The movie came out. I don't know if I'll see it or not. I mean, I like her, maybe if I catch it on Netflix or something like that. I don't know where it can be shown, but let's see what this says. So it's saying Thandiwe Newton in God's Country Film Review, Sundance 2022. The Emmy Award-winning actress stars in Jillian Higgins' thriller about a college professor's escalating feud with two hunters. Yeah. So I definitely think they cast her, Thandiwe, to make it more comfortable, to pretty much bring out a more diverse audience, because if they would have cast like someone of a darker complexion, like I used the example of like a Viola Davis, Angela Bassett, Gabrielle Union, Jennifer Hudson, like someone who's like has a lot of melanin in them, then it probably wouldn't have been crossed over as much. Let's see, this Jillian Higgins. Let's see, what is this, a white? I'm assuming this is a white woman because I don't, I think a black director would have kind of known like, okay, with this movie, we're going to have to kind of get someone who's probably going to be a darker shade, Yeah, I just think that, let me see, director. I want to see Jillian. So I'm coming up with it being a man. So it's Jillian. What's his name? Let me see. Julian. I don't know why I was saying Julian. Julian is a white man. So yeah, it makes sense. Because I don't think a black director would have, I think they would have known better that it wouldn't have hit the same with casting someone who looks like Thandiwe Newton. I mean, I think they would have went with someone who was a darker complexion. So, I mean, listen, she's done. She did the movie. She made her money. It is what it is, but I don't think she should on the back end after she's made the movie come back and apologize when she had these thoughts and concerns prior to or when she accepted the role. Like at this point, she's kind of just asking for forgiveness. Um, so it says the movie based on mystery writer James Lee Burke's short story Winter Light, God's Country follows university professor Sandra Gidry and arresting Thandiwe Newton, navigating the rocky, unpredictable landscape of mourning. Death haunts the film's opening sequences as a soulman. Sandra oversees her mother's cremation and later buries the ashes. Upon returning home from the makeshift funeral, she spots an unfamiliar red pickup truck in her driveway. Annoyed, she leaves a note for the trespassers. This is private property and they need to find another parking spot. The next day, she sees the truck again and finds her crumpled note buried in the snow. So, it seems like an interesting storyline, but like I said, I think it's probably not going to probably do well with, I guess, the Black community, just because ain't like, it don't make sense. So I'm not gonna even waste my time. Just like a lot of people when it came to that woman who played Aretha Franklin. Let me see what her name was. A lot of Black people didn't support that. Like I saw the one, because there were two versions of the Aretha Franklin movie. There was the one that came to the big screen with Jennifer Hudson. That was really good. And then there was one with the African actress. Let me see, Aretha. Let me see what her name was. But a lot of Black people were like, no, I'm not going to see that movie. I think her name was Cynthia Erivo. Is that her name? Cynthia Erivo. Okay. Let me share my screen so you can see Cynthia Erivo. That movie I don't think it did that well. I personally don't know anyone who actually went and saw it. I know, because they were in their feelings about the fact that Cynthia, someone who wasn't of African American descent, that come from America, didn't play that movie. It was somebody, from another country. So I don't know how it worked out for her. If that movie did, like I said, I don't know anybody who went and saw that movie. Okay, look at this pertaining to that. Aretha Franklin's family doesn't approve of Genius series. The movie has to go. So even her family, like, let's see why they didn't approve. All Aretha Franklin's family is asking is for a little respect from the makers of Genius. Aretha, National Geographic's recently released biographical series about the legendary soul musician. So this one was a made for TV. Earlier this month, Franklin's granddaughter, Grace Franklin, posted a TikTok video accusing the Genius team of refusing to involve her family in the third season of the show, which stars English actress Cynthia Erivo. And over the weekend, Rolling Stone published an interview with Aretha Franklin's son, Keehaw Franklin, backing daughter Grace Franklin's sentiments about the project, which premiered Sunday on National Geographic. Aretha Franklin died in August 2018 at the age of 76. As the immediate family, we feel it's important to be involved with any biopic of my grandma's life, and it's hard to get any accurate depiction of anyone's life without speaking to the loved ones closest to them. 15-year-old Grace Franklin said on TikTok, where her family and friends can be seen chanting, "This movie has to go," in protest of the series. During the process of writing, directing, and filming this movie, we reached out to Genius as a family on multiple occasions where we've been disrespected and told that we will not be worked with. As the immediate family, emphasis on immediate Emphasis on immediate. We do not support this film and ask that you also do not support this film, as we feel that there will be many inaccuracies about my grandmother's life. Let's play this TikTok.
This movie has to go. 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 This movie has to go.
Hi, I'm Grace Franklin. My grandmother is Aretha Franklin. I'm the one pictured in that video, along with my siblings, my parents, and some of my friends. As most people know, there are 2 biopics of my grandma currently being made: the Respect movie with Jennifer Hudson and the Genius series with Cynthia Erivo. The immediate family, we that it's important to be involved with any biopic of my grandma's life, as it's hard to get any accurate depiction of anyone's life without speaking to the ones closest to them. During the process of writing, directing, and filming this movie, we reached out to Genius as a family on multiple occasions where we've been disrespected and told that we will not be worked with. As the immediate family, emphasis on immediate, we do not support this film. We ask that you also do not support this film, as we feel extremely disrespected and we feel that there will be many inaccuracies about my grandmother's life. Thank you.
So, yeah. That just goes back to just the respect part. As they say, they feel disrespected. Again, they brought in, got a foreign actress to play the role of Aretha Franklin, when there were plenty of other American actresses to play the American singer. So it is what it is. It's just what we, the reality of what takes place in America, because I can't speak on what's going on in other parts of the world. But here in America, it is a real thing, as far as with colorism, and then just the plight of just Black Americans in comparison to, Black people who maybe come from Africa, or even other like places like even Jamaica, other just the Caribbean. It's just a different type of treatment with Black Americans. It is what it is. So you just, see things for what they are, and you just do your best to just navigate through it. But for those who have joined, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I would greatly appreciate it. I do thank you for joining the party. Over here, the Starlights, we get into it. We cover these stories, and we make no excuses for the foolishness. So if you got any comments pertaining to, Thandiwe Newton and your thought, we also, covered Aretha Franklin. So just anything that we talked about, whether it's Thandiwe Newton, Cynthia Erivo playing Aretha Franklin in Genius, let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I like to read the comments, but, these are conversations that we have to have. It is what it is, and colorism is a real thing. And I do not feel like it was necessary for Thandiwe Newton to get on camera and cry her tattooed tears and apologize for being a light-skinned, mixed race Black woman who gets cast over roles over dark-skinned Black women, and who gets chosen by Black men. Listen, I bet you right now she probably feel like if she wish she could take that back. Like, I wonder what her husband thought. Like, did she tell him, honey, before she turned on that camera, what she was about to do? Or was it like she went to him after the fact and he like, what the? So I don't know. I just feel like she probably embarrassed right now. And listen, many of us have had our embarrassing moments. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to say that I definitely feel like this is probably one of Thandiwe Newton's top 5 most embarrassing moments. And it is what it is. What's done is done. So she's just going to have to navigate through all of that and just hope that the next story just overshadows what she did. Because as I say, I feel like people got a low attention span. It's very small. It's very short. So it doesn't take much in much time for something else pops off that takes over whatever you did that people might have deemed as being foolish. So she just got to ride it out at least for the next week or so until somebody else come out there and just put something out there that just takes the cake over what she did. So again, thank you for joining my live. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next broadcast. Peace.